Dear students, you all warmly welcome to the Guru Gedara television program. We started lesson number 14 about explorations and phenomena related to our solar system. Today, we are going to start third session of that particular lesson about constellations and exploring universe and artificial satellites. Here, this is very important and interesting lessons. Before starting the lesson, I must say you have to go through the textbook and refer the textbook as a preparation for the lesson. They can get now you can get the maximum benefit from this lesson. Okay, shall we move on to the lesson? Exploring the universe, artificial satellites and constellations. Today we are going to conduct this session as a third session of the lesson number 14 of your grade 8's curriculum. Then exploring the universe. Then let us see what is called space. Then how can we identify atmosphere and the space? It is very important to aware about the differences between our atmosphere and the space. Then let us think. Space. Then what do you mean by space? Air cover around the earth is called the atmosphere. We all know that around the earth there is an air layer. We call that atmosphere. Atmosphere extends up to about 500 to 1000 kilometers. Remember, these numerical values are approximate values because we can't say sharp boundaries for the atmosphere. Then the area that starts about 1000 kilometers far from the earth is called space. Then you can get the idea about space and our atmosphere. Atmosphere extends up to 500 to 1000 kilometers from the earth's surface. Beyond that, we can say that is the space. Then here, since from the ancient time, man has been exploring the space. Since from the ancient time, man had huge curiosity about the space, about the planets and the constellation. Therefore, man used different methods to gather information and get aware about those celestial objects in the sky. Ancient man had several questions related to the space. Man had several questions related to the space because of that huge curiosity since from the ancient time. Then what are the questions? What is the limit of the space? What is the limit of the space? That was the first question they had. And second one, what it contains? What it contains? And third one, how much does it contain? How much does it contain? Then again, shall we focus on those three questions? What is the limit of the space? And what it contains? And finally, how much does it contains? Those were the three questions early ancient time man had. Then at the initial stage, when we are thinking about the initial stage, man used different methods. Man used different methods to reach higher levels of the space. Earlier times, they used their naked eye to get information, to gather information in the ancient time. By using their naked eye, they could collect lot of information about the celestial objects and the planets and space and also about the constellations. With the time being, with the development of science and technology, now man can use develop instrument to get information about the space and celestial objects. Not only that, man began to travel through the space. Then how can they travel to the space? Here, there are two methods they use to travel through the space. What are the two methods? First, using the balloons and then rockets. Using balloons, they tried to go to the space and get information of the space and the constellations Now they have developed rockets to move through the space and get information. Then students, let's see what are the balloons, what kind of balloons they use to travel to the space. For the first time, man used balloons to reach higher atmosphere. For the first time, man used balloons to reach to the atmosphere. There are two types of balloons. Man used two types of balloons to travel to the space. What are the two types of balloons? Let's see. First one, balloons filled with hydrogen or helium gases. Balloons filled with hydrogen and helium gases. We know that hydrogen is the lightest gas among the gases that we learn in our science subject. Hydrogen is the lightest gas. They use balloon filled with hydrogen or helium. Helium also another inert gas that we learn in our science subject. And second one, hot air balloons. Then there were two types of balloons they used to travel to the space. What are the two types of balloons? Let's see. First one, balloons filled with hydrogen and helium. And the second one, balloons filled with hot air. Then hot air means relatively density of the hot air is little bit reduced. Therefore, hot air balloons they can use to travel to the space. Then rockets. Shall we focus on the rockets? First, man used balloons to travel to the space. Then, with the development of science and the technology, now they can use rockets to travel to the space. Rockets are used to reach outer space. Not like balloons, rockets can be used to travel far away through the space. Then Tsiolkovsky and a Russian and Goddard an American were pioneers to work on rockets. Those are the two scientists, one from Russia and one from America. They were the pioneers of regarding the rockets. Then the first rocket which used liquid fuel was launched in 1926, far away. 1926 was the first time man launched a liquid fuel rocket. There are several major parts. When we are identifying or discussing about the rockets, we can identify there are four major parts of the liquid fuel rocket. Then what are the four major parts of a liquid fuel rocket? Let's focus on what are the four major parts. First one, combustion chamber. Combustion chamber. And the second one, liquid oxygen. And third one, a fuel tank must be there and a tank containing igniter. Then what are the four major parts that should contain the liquid fuel rocket? Let's see what are they. First one, combustion chamber and liquid oxygen and a fuel tank and a tank containing igniter. Liquid oxygen here, rocket contains liquid oxygen because as a supporter of combustion, you know that for the combustion there were three factors required. What are the three factors? Combustible material and the supporter of combustion and the ignition temperature. As a supporter of oxygen, they carry oxygen, especially liquid oxygen, inside the rockets for the combustion of the fuel. Then here in this diagram, we can clearly identify those four major parts of the liquid fuel rocket. Then what are the four major parts? Here you can see hydrogen container. This is blue colored part represents hydrogen container as a fuel for the rocket. Hydrogen they carry inside the rocket, and oxygen, as I mentioned earlier, they use oxygen as a supporter of combustion of the fuel. And also combustion chamber, and here we can see a nozzle nozzle. Those are the 4 major parts of the liquid fuel rocket. Then let us see function of a liquid fuel rocket, how they work to travel to the space. Liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen and petrol are well mixed and pumped in the combustion chamber. What are the components? Liquid hydrogen as a fuel and liquid oxygen. It is considered as the supporter of the combustion, and thirdly the petrol. Petrol provides necessary igniter for the combustion. There are 3 components in this combustion chamber. What are the components contained in that? Liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen and petrol. Then gases produced by the combustion were, with the combustion, gases are produced in the combustion chamber. Gases produced in the combustion were pushed down speedily through the nozzle. Giving it an upward force. Because of the combustion of here hydrogen, oxygen and petrol, gases are produced inside the combustion chamber. That particular gases are pushed away through the small nozzle. That's how it obtains necessary force for traveling. Now, shall we move to the small video clip to understand the function of the rocket. Okay, now you can see we are going to make a water rocket. By watching this video clip, you can understand the function of a liquid fuel rocket. Here, using simple several materials, we can make a liquid fuel rocket. Okay, we need plastic tube we can get, and also small stopper. We can fix a small stopper to the end of the plastic tube, and we can make a small hole and fix valve to the stopper using glue, because we need to airproof this stopper. That's why we use glue. And also we need this sort of supporter stand. We are going to send water rocket to understand the function of the rocket. Here we also need a piece of cardboard to make wings of the rocket. Here we can make 4 wings of the rocket and paste those wings around the plastic bottle like this. Then now we can get this sort of structure and make the top part of the rocket by using a piece of cardboard just like a shape of a cone, because it helps to travel through the air very easily to reduce the air resistance. Using the glue, we can paste this cone shaped structure to the upper part of the rocket. Now almost we have finished making a structure of the water rocket. Here you can see the nature of the water rocket, and by using the stand, now we are going to fix that stopper into the end of the plastic tube with the valve, and also we have to tighten up for the airproofing. Using the cello tape we can tighten up, and then to the free end of the plastic tip we are going to fix that plastic bottle. Then after having some water into the bottle, then we can fix this bottle to the free end of the plastic tube like this. Then we are going to send air into the bottle through the valve. Now we can see the flying of the rocket. Here this is how the rocket functions because of the pressure exerted inside the plastic bottle. I think by watching this video clip you can understand the way of functioning the rocket. Now shall we move on to the next session of this lesson about the satellites. So far we discussed about the rockets and exploring the universe. Then what are the methods used by ancient people to explore the universe? They use balloons and rockets to travel through the space and gather lot of information about the universe. They use balloons and rockets. Now shall we move on to the next session of this lesson about the satellites. Then let's see what are the satellites. Satellites. Then let's see what are the satellites. Here celestial bodies smaller than the moon. Celestial bodies that smaller than the moon which are orbiting the earth are called satellites. Then what are the satellites, dear students? Satellites are the celestial bodies smaller than our subplanet moon and which are orbiting the earth. They are called satellites. Then what are called artificial satellites? What are the artificial satellites? An object launched to revolve around the earth using a rocket is known as an artificial satellites. Then again shall we focus on what are the artificial satellites. Then artificial satellites are an object launched to revolve around the earth using a rocket. They are called artificial satellites. Then let's see the history of the satellites launched in the world. The first artificial satellites named as Sputnik 1. Then you have to keep in your mind when the question paper may ask sometimes what is the first artificial satellites, then you must give the answer Sputnik 1. The first artificial satellite named as Sputnik 1, it was launched by Soviet Union on October 4th, 1957. First artificial satellite was launched by the Soviet Union on October 4th, 1957. That is name called Sputnik 1. Then with that historical victory, man entered into the space age. Now we are in the space age. With that historical event, man entered into this space era. Then the first American artificial satellite. The first American artificial satellite was Explorer 1. Earlier we discussed about the Sputnik 1. It was sent by the Soviet Union. Now the first artificial satellites launched by the America, that is called Explorer 1. It was launched on January 31st on 1958. And also very important thing, NASA in America was established in 1958, that the same year. Then can we observe the artificial satellites in the night sky? Dear students, now you have a question, can we observe those artificial satellites in the night sky using our naked eye? Then the answer is yes, we can. During the night between 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we can see those artificial satellites as moving stars, but should be clear sky. To observe the artificial satellites in the night at the time between 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., if there should be a clear sky, we can see those artificial satellites as moving stars. As moving stars, we can observe those artificial satellites, but remember only the time duration from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the night sky we can observe these artificial satellites. Then what are the communication satellites? Here this is very important technical event, very huge achievement of the man. We can communicate throughout the globe using those satellites. Then let us see what are the communication satellites. Communication satellites is an artificial satellite. It is man-made satellite, artificial satellite that relays and amplifies radio communication signals via transponder. Then let us see what is called communication satellites once again. Communication satellite is an artificial satellite that relays and amplifies radio telecommunication signals via transponder. Then it creates a communication channel. This particular communication satellites creates a communication channel between source transmitter and receiver between two different places of the earth. Then what are the importances of these communication satellites? These communication satellites make communication channel to communicate two places of the earth. We can communicate using these satellites. Then satellite communication. Here we learn satellite communication. Satellite communication is the method of transporting information from one place to another place. Here very important, from one place of the earth, one side of the place on the earth globe to the other side of the globe in the earth planet. We can communicate using these satellite technology. Then again let us see what are the satellite communication. Satellite communication is the method of transporting information from one place to another place using communication satellites in orbit around the earth. These satellites are in the orbit around the earth. They also rotate around the earth along certain orbital path. Then geostationary satellite. These are the very important type of satellites for the communication. Let us see what are the geostationary satellites mean. The geostationary satellite is in orbit. Geostationary satellite is in orbit around the earth at an altitude where it orbits as the same rate as the earth rotation. Here very important thing is the rotational speed of the artificial satellites called these geocentered satellites rotates as the same speed earth rotates around its own axis. Therefore, we can see from the earth those satellites are stationary position. Then that sort of satellites we called geocentered satellites. They are in the orbit and their speed is almost similar to the speed of rotation of the earth. Therefore, we can see those satellites are stationary around the orbit because of the same speed of the earth rotation and the rotation of the satellites. Then here in this diagram you can see the orbit where those geocentered satellites are placed. You can see the inclination, and here geostationary satellites are placed around the earth in their particular orbits, and around this orbit, along this orbit around the earth, these geocentered satellites rotate. The speed of the rotation of these geocentered satellites is same to the rotation of the earth around its own axis. That is why they are very important. Then a global village concept. This is another very huge achievement of the mankind. Now, with the development of the science and technology, we can communicate throughout the earth globe without any problem because of these communication satellites, and this is called global village concept. And let's see in detail what is this global village concept. What is this global village concept? Sir Arthur C. Clarke said that if a satellite is orbited around the earth at the same speed as earth's rotation and at a certain height, it will be seen stationary from the earth. As I mentioned earlier, the speed of the rotation of those geocentered satellites is same to the speed of the rotation of the earth around its own axis. So, we can see those satellites are stationary in their orbits. Then again let us see, Sir Arthur C. Clarke said that if a satellite is orbited around the earth at the same speed as earth's rotation at a certain height, it will be seen stationary from the earth. Using those 3 such satellites, the whole world can be converted into communication facility. Using 3 satellites that orbited around the earth, we can make communication facility throughout the earth. This is called global village. This concept was stated by the Sir Arthur C. Clarke. Then here we can see in this figure those 3 satellites, the way of orbiting those 3 satellites around the earth. Here station 1, here one of the satellite is in this position, and the station 3 another satellite, and the station 3, 1, 2, 3, there are 3 geocentered satellites. Remember, the rotation speed of those satellites is similar to the rotation speed of the earth around its own axis. Therefore, without any problem, these satellites can communicate, can make a facility to communicate throughout the air, throughout the earth. Here, these satellites provide necessary connection with the earth to provide the communication facility. Then, dear students, we are going to explain in detail about space explorations now. There are several historical events of launching rockets by different countries with the importances of those launching of rockets. Now, shall we focus on what are the importances and what are the historical events in this space explorations. The launching of artificial satellites was commenced by Russia. Then we called Soviet Union. Earlier it was Russia in 1957 and by America in 1958. Some key points of space era are stated in this table. Let's see what are they. The name of the spacecraft and the year and country those satellites are launched, and relevant historical incident and the importances of those incident. Then first one, according to this table, Luna 1. It was unmanned spacecraft. The year it was launched in 1959 by the Russia. Then what are the importances and historical incidents related to this Luna 1? The first moon exploration satellite to travel near the moon. That is very important historical event. The first moon exploration satellite to travel near the moon. And also spacecraft that became the first artificial planet around the sun. Spacecraft that became the first artificial planet around the sun. Those things related to the Luna 1. Then let us see about the Luna 2. It was launched by 1959 it also from Russia. Then what are the relevant historical incidents? Let's see. The first unmanned spacecraft to land on the moon. Very huge historical step of the mankind. The first unmanned spacecraft to land on the moon, that is Luna 2. The first artificial object which reached to the another world, that is also very important historical incident. The first artificial object which reached to another world. Then let's see the third one, Luna 3. It also unmanned spacecraft. It was launched in 1959 by the Russia. You can see the first 3 attempts were Russians attempts. And what are the important things, historical things related to the Luna 3? Take photography of the other side of the moon's surface for the first time. Take photography of the other side of the moon's surface for the first time. Then next one, Vostok 1. It also launched from the Russia in 1961, but here this is manned spacecraft. Yuri Gagarin became the first astronaut who visited to the space. Yuri Gagarin became the first astronaut who visited to the space for the first time in year 1961. Then let's see Vostok 2. Vostok 2, it was launched by Russia in 1961. It consumed food in the space for the first time. The historical event related to the Vostok 2 is consuming food in the space for the first time in 1961. Then shall we focus on to the next historical events? Mercury 1. It also manned spacecraft in year 1961 by the Americans. They launched this Mercury 1. Then what are the historical events related to this Mercury 1 spacecraft? Alan Shepard became the first American astronaut. Here very important, earlier we discussed about the Russian astronauts. Here for the first time, American astronaut Alan Shepard went to the space in 1961 in the spacecraft called Mercury 1. And let's focus on to the Mercury 2. It also manned spacecraft. It also launched in 1962 by the American astronauts. John Glenn became the first American astronaut to orbit completely around the Earth. Then John Glenn became the first American astronaut to orbit completely around the Earth by the spacecraft called Mercury 2 in the year 1962. Then shall we move on to Vostok 3 and Vostok 4. Then first about Vostok 3, in year 1962 it was launched, and also in the same year 1962 Vostok 4 were launched. 2 spacecrafts came closer to each other in the space. Vostok 3 and Vostok 4, both of them are manned spacecraft. They also launched in 1962. 2 spacecrafts came closer to each other in the space. Then shall we move on to the Vostok 6. It was launched in year 1963 by the Russian scientist Valentina Tereskova became the first female astronaut. Valentina Tereskova became the first female astronaut in 1963, the spacecraft called Vostok 6. Then Ranger 7. Ranger 7, in the year 1964, it was launched by the Americans, sent detailed photographs of the moon surface for the first time. That is another very important historical event. Ranger 7 spacecraft sent detailed photographs of the moon surface for the first time in year 1964. Shall we focus on the Ranger 8? It was launched in 1965 by the American scientists. It sent photographs of a sea of tranquility, which was a place expected to land Apollo spacecraft. Right. Let's see Voskhod 2, another spacecraft launched by Russian scientists in 1965. The first man to walk in the space. He is Alex Leonov. Alex Leonov is the first man who walks in the space in year 1965. And the next spacecraft, Gemini 3. It was launched in 1965 by the American scientists. Then what are the historical events related to this Gemini 3? The first computer to be taken to the space. Another very important historical event in 1965, the first computer to be taken to the space by the spacecraft Gemini 3 in 1965. Then let's see Luna 9. It was launched in 1966 by the Russian scientists. Then what are the importances of this Luna 9 spacecraft? Soft landing of a moon, exploring craft on moon for the first time. Soft landing of a moon, exploring craft on moon for the first time. Then let's see Gemini 8. It was launched in 1966 by the American scientists. Then what are the importances of this Gemini 8? A manned spacecraft to join with a rocket in the orbit for the first time. A manned spacecraft to join with the rocket in the orbit for the first time. Okay, let's focus on Surveyor 1, which was launched in 1966 by the American scientists. Then what are the importances of this Surveyor 1? Soft landing of the first American moon craft on moon. Then shall we focus on Lunar Orbiter 1. Lunar Orbiter 1, which was launched in 1966. The first moon exploring craft to map the moon. The first moon exploring craft to map the moon. And shall we move on to the next one, Apollo 8. Year 1968 it was launched. The first manned moon exploring craft to orbit the moon. Apollo 8, what are the importances? The first manned moon exploring craft to orbit the moon. Apollo 11, then year 1969 it was launched. Neil Armstrong landed on moon. Michael Collins and Edwin Aldrin also joined this journey in 1969. That is the most important historical event in the mankind. Okay, dear students, shall we focus on what is a constellation as a next session of this lesson? Then constellation is a group of visible stars which make up imaginary outline or a pattern in the night sky, such as an animal, inanimate object, mythological person or a creature. Then Polaris. Shall we focus on what is Polaris? In the night sky we can see all the stars other than one star apparently move from east to the west, but actually Earth rotates to the west to the east. But one star does not change its position, that is called Polaris. The importance of this Polaris is its position does not change. Then here you can see the picture of the night sky. There are several constellations. What are the constellations here? Canis Major, Orion and the Taurus, Gemini. Those are the several constellations that we can see in the night sky. Then shall we focus on Orion constellation? Orion represents the hunter. The head of the hunter is directed towards the sun. It is useful to find the north direction in the night sky. Rigel is the brightest star in this constellation. It is situated in the hunter's left knee. Letz's constellation is Canis Major. The brightest star Sirius is found in the Canis Major constellation. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. Then shall we focus on next constellation, Gemini. Gemini constellation represents twins. The brightest star in this constellation is called Pollux. And next constellation, Taurus. The brightest star in the Taurus constellation is Aldebaran. Next to this Pleiades constellation can be seen. It is a cluster of stars consisting more than 200 stars, yet 6 stars are visible to the naked eye in this Pleiades constellation. And here also another figure that we can see in the night sky. There are several constellations, Ursa Minor, Ursa Major and Leo constellation we can see in the night sky. Then Leo constellation, shall we focus on this Leo constellation? The brightest star in the Leo constellation is Regulus. And Ursa Major constellation, this constellation helps to identify north direction at the night. And Ursa Minor. Ursa Minor constellation contains Polaris star which does not change its position. Then importance of star Polaris. The axis of the earth is pointed almost directly towards the Polaris star. Polaris does not rise or set. Therefore, it is called the North Star. Polaris is known as North Star. And shall we focus on Southern Cross? This constellation can be used to identify south and north directions. The star called Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri are located far away from the Southern Cross. Then importance of Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri. Alpha Centauri is the system which is closest to the Sun, and Proxima Centauri is the closest star to the Earth. It is very important thing. Proxima Centauri is the star which is closest to the Earth. Okay, dear students, now shall we focus on uses of constellation. We discussed so far about several constellations. Now let's see what are the importances of these constellations. In the ancient time, people used these constellations for different purposes. What are those purposes and what are the uses? Let's see. To find the direction, they use these constellations during the night time, and also to be aware of the time, to get the idea about the time, they use these constellations, and to get an idea on seasons. When harvesting and when growing crops, they use these constellations to get the idea about the necessary season. Then let's say zodiac. Then there are 12 zodiacs. Then let's see what are the zodiacs and what are the names of those 12 zodiac. Here there are 12 signs in the outer space. There are 12 signs in the outer space which are termed as zodiac in the ancient time. Then what are the 12 zodiacs? Let's see. First one Aries, and the second one Taurus, and third one Gemini, and fourth one Cancer, fifth one is Leo, and the sixth one is Virgo, and the seventh one is Libra, eighth one called Scorpio, and the ninth one Sagittarius, and the 10th one Capricorn, the 11th one is Aquarius, and the 12th and the last one is Pisces. Then here, dear students, now you can see pictures of those zodiac signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. Those are the 12 zodiac signs that we can see in the night sky. Here, this is the way you can observe those 12 zodiac signs in the night sky. Then relative positions of stars do not change daily or monthly. Relative positions of stars do not change daily or monthly, but positions of planets gets changed. Positions of planet get changed because you know that planets are revolve around the sun along elliptical path. That is the reason, therefore, positions of planets change relative to the space. Then here there are 5 planets which are observable to the naked eye. We can observe from the naked eye there are 5 planets. What are the 5 planets? Let's see. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. Those planets are solid planets. We can observe in the night sky through the naked eye those 5 planets. Then stars are luminous. We know that stars can produce their own light. So, we can consider stars as luminous objects, but remember planets are not luminous objects, therefore, we cannot see planets, we cannot consider planets as a luminous object. Then clinometers, here we need to measure the altitude of a star. To measure the altitude of a star, we can use this special instrument called clinometer to measure the altitude of stars. Okay, dear students, today we learn about exploring the universe and artificial satellites and constellations. We learn different historical important events related to the exploring universe and also constellation. We discussed several constellations that we can see in the night sky, and also we learned the importances of constellations and what are the uses of those constellations. Then you need to keep in these things in your mind and also work hard with the determination, and you can achieve your targets. Then only you can achieve your targets when you go through the textbook and work hard with the determination. Okay, dear students, now I am going to conclude this lesson. You can watch this lesson through NIE channel in the YouTube. Goodbye.